Oh, Catharia. Welcome aboard. Looks like you don't have a microphone turned on. Catharia, am I pronouncing that right? Catharia. I can't remember. You might be the one and only person that's moved into the classroom, so to speak. Yep. Yeah, I sent invites to 3, 6, 10, about 13 different Gmail addresses I've got. And you're the only one that clicked a few times or whatever it took to join the classroom. Eventually, okay, I see you got your microphone on but muted. I'm clicking ask to unmute. Doesn't look like I'm able to unmute you. Today I'm hoping, usually I don't collect these, but I'm hoping we'll all draw the 3 views, top, front, and even though this is in the position of the right side, it's called a full section. Maybe I ought to put it someplace else so it's not in the position of the right side. I'll have to give some thought to that. Morning. Hello, Sally.
What?
Oh, is that Dan? You with us?
I'm in the background.
Good.
Hello.
Top of the day to you, Dan and Sally. One new student.
Now I can hear you.
What's his name? Curtis Newsom, I believe. He just enlightened me an hour ago. The shipyard is pushing to allow you to access your desk AutoCAD from home remotely, and that really surprises me with as strict a firewall as they got.
Wow.
I told my boss about it, and it doesn't sound like we can remotely access the AutoCADs within the apprentice school classroom because they're in a different, you're in the EDU domain instead of the NNS Corp domain. But I heard that at least one student went and paid $300 to get a year's worth of AutoCAD. And I hope nobody else needs to spend that much money if we can get that remote AutoCAD to work from home. We shall see. And, Dan, Sally, I don't believe you've accepted my invitation to the new classroom. Until they tell me otherwise, I'm hoping I can continue to email files ahead of each class. And until they tell me otherwise, I'm hoping I can put the Zoom recordings on YouTube. And experimented and succeeded with the final Zoom recording of introductory. And it takes a couple steps.
Well, is this invitation to the new classroom, is that in an email that we received, or is that?
I believe it was an email automatically sent from within Google Classroom to your Gmail account.
It is.
Elizabeth is joining us.
Hey, Elizabeth.
I'll admit Elizabeth. I still haven't figured out how to let students join without me having to wake up and click allow in or whatever the button says. There might be a way if I can publish the meeting number and the meeting password, which I should have rigged as ACAD in capital letters, ACAD. I'll keep working on that. Meanwhile, bear with me if I don't hear the bell ring and click on the allow in button. I can't remember. We had 15 signed up. Couple dropped. You may get one walk on. Aaron didn't register because I wasn't. I was told to stop using an AutoCAD work-alike. Students could buy this $1 a day AutoCAD rental. I mentioned that to Aaron. I haven't heard back from him since. Pretty stiff price. Here it is, Dan's cell line. Admit is the button I'm clicking on. Okay, we got Elizabeth, Cathuria, Sally, and Dan. And a bit of a feedback.
That's me.
Yeah, Dan, I think between your cell and Sally's microphone, okay, everybody's got their mics muted now. So why is my more button flashing? I believe you all can see my AutoCAD on the left side, correct? And I've got Google Classroom open on the right.
Yes.
Great. Okay. While we're waiting, some of these files that I uploaded to week number 1 in Google Classroom, for some reason they won't open up in a browser. I got to figure out how to download them, but hopefully by now y'all have this errata sheet. There's been very, very little change since introductory. So it'll very rarely get updated. I'm trying to put a little asterisk every time I reference an exercise in handouts. I want to put a little asterisk next to the exercise as a reminder to go to the errata sheet to find a clarification or a typo correction. Another file I should send y'all. This is, I sent you 2 weeks worth of the handouts. On the right side of my screen is our mission today to see how much we've forgotten since introductory. There's, something I often refer to this assignment as a placement exam. Like as if you need to pass this exam to start the class. Anna's joining us. There's the admit button. Anna is joining. Hey, Anna. Also, since I don't believe there'll be any changes, I included 2 pages of handouts for week number 2. we're just going to be playing with little Legos or wooden blocks next week, using the box command to make a solid block or box, stacking them up in different shapes and rotating them, and play with a 3D free orbit. Can I highlight that? There we go. 3D free orbit is a 3D viewing tool that I find extremely helpful. There's several. Okay, Kurt is joining us. Kurt, I think you're tuned in on an iPhone. I have no idea if that's got Zoom capability. I hope so. Kurt, your mic is turned on, so
Okay.
be aware.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurt, I was telling the others in the class, you've managed to remotely access your Office AutoCAD, and
Yes, you just have to have it approved through your manager.
you know, I hate to tell you this, but I wonder if it varies from not only you need permission, but your department needs the technology.
Now, yeah, I have a laptop assigned to me, so that is one thing that you do have to have. But I called and I can't remember her name, the lady that is in charge of the night school, and she said as long as it was approved through my manager, that it was okay.
Yeah, that's Sherry Morgan.
Yes.
She's been with us. I guess she started in January.
And now it does also help that I now actually work in the O22 department for the apprentice school. So
Oh, cool.
So that kind of helps.
Yeah. I'll make note of that. I try to keep all email addresses and all phones and departments, and eventually I'll need building number and floor number and seat number to get the fancy printed certificates to you. Are you a apprentice instructor, Curtis?
Yes. Yep.
Good.
I started about a month ago.
Excellent. Yeah, I used to write my bio in the syllabi as opposed to syllabuses, and I considered becoming a high school physics teacher, believe it or not. I think I asked I want to say Dr. Hughes was the head honcho of the apprentice school. I believe he's retired now.
Yes.
And I believe I conversed with him about working for the apprentice school, and I can't remember how it went. Something I didn't know a trade well enough. Computers. It might be different now with AutoCAD, but
from what I understand, when I went through the apprentice school, all of our mechanical drawing was done pencil and paper, and now only one drawing is done with pencil and paper, and everything else is done through AutoCAD.
that's what I want to hear. I was in the shipyard from 82 to 90. I believe the 3D system called Vivid was in its infancy, and Dr. Hughes might have been the, what's it called, brainchild, or the Frankenstein doctor, or whatever, for Vivid. Can't remember. I think maybe I'm getting names confused. I think the Vivid subject matter expert left the shipyard, more I think of it, so it probably wasn't Dr. Hughes. Anyway, now I hear.
Well, I heard today actually from someone, that the shipyard, they started with AutoCAD, then they switched over to something and it didn't work out, and then we switched back to AutoCAD.
In the early 80s, I recall a system called CAD-DAM.
And that might be it.
Yes, it's the first I heard of an AutoCAD being used prior to CAD-AM. Now I want to say NX is in some departments. Is that a Siemens CAD system, maybe?
It very well could be. I know we have Siemens. We have a lot of stuff in the shipyard that Siemens does for us.
Yeah. Years and years ago, I seem to recall there was a pipe bending department that used Intergraph because it had the capability of computer numeric controlling the pipe bends, something like that. That was a long time ago. And I'm hearing less and less about Autodesk's Inventor. Not sure if it's still around in shipyard at all. Yeah. Every couple of years. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're still using inventors being used from our department in 22.
About every other year, one student says, well, how about Inventor coming to the night school? And unfortunately, there's never 6 or 8 people at the same time asking that. So I don't know if Dan was speaking, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you could, lobby to get enough people to request it, that maybe it could be added.
I could ask around. I've only been with the company a couple of years though, so I don't have a lot of clout.
Yeah, I understand. Outside of the shipyard, I hear a lot of talk of SolidWorks being used. And I wondered if I'll have to learn SolidWorks to keep up the beer money. The community colleges might go to SolidWorks. I think a lot of the NASA subcontractors use SolidWorks. Haven't heard of it on the Air Force Base, though. I did hear a little bit of Microsoft's Visio on the Air Force Base. And I think last I heard, Visio is kind of downgraded to just logic diagrams and seating charts, or very, very simple stuff. Well, it's well after 4:15. I'm looking at about 9 attendees and 1 or 2. I was about to say 1 or 2 are on both cell phone and computer, but I guess that would be you and Sally, Dan. So yeah, I got about 9 attendees online. I'm sure hoping more will come in. Getting back to the handouts, again, next week we'll stack up these shoe boxes. We'll extrude rectangles or use the box command. The box is pretty limited. You just type box, enter, and type length, width, and height, and you end up with a solid box. But pretty quick we get into the extrude command, where any closed polyline in, I believe, a region, which which I really don't teach at all, but generally speaking, a closed polyline you can extrude into a shape. And next week we'll get into triangle, pentagon, and hexagons, just because they're simple objects made with the polygon command. And stack them up. We'll also learn some visual styles. Years ago, AutoCAD referred to visual styles as nuts. I had it an hour ago and lost it now. We had a different name for visual style. I'm going to lose sleep on that now. So that'll be, might be a short week next week. Maybe we can get ahead between making boxes and stacking them, and making polygons and stacking them up, exercising a few of these visual styles. Conceptual, I like to use a lot. It's kind of like a simple spray painting of a color. But I can see some advantages to X-ray, because not only you can see the object, but you can see through it to snap on endpoints and midpoints on the far side of objects. The simple one is what's it called? 2D or 3D wireframe. It's kind of an efficient, simple. Anyway, starting to babble here. What else? Also on the classroom is this is the usual list of YouTube tutorials, and you get about 2/3 of the way down the list, and you get into the layouts. Here about line 47 of the YouTube tutorial list starts getting into the 3D modeling topics we have in intermediate here. And what else? This is, you might say, the deliverable today, exercise number 90. I don't expect you to do the solid model. In a few weeks, I might assign you to do the solid model once we learn how to do with a revolve command to do the little countersink drilled holes. The subtract command will have to vaporize this little disc out of the ends. Next week you can take the develop a polyline of the front perimeter here and extrude it into like a casting of this object, but you're not smart enough yet to put the counter bore, the through hole, and the 4 counter sink holes in yet. What else? Oh, and of course the syllabus. I've updated that a couple of times. All right, I just heard a chime. Lex is joining us. That might be Alexia or Alexander. Lex is joining us. So again, with the exception of the 3D model on this exercise number 90 handout in the classroom, and I emailed you. I've made some revisions since the one I emailed you, but they're minor changes. With the exception of this 3D model, I'm hoping that we all can finish exactly what you see here, with the exception, including, name the file your first name and call it Wk1 for week 1 assignment. And anything extra, like date and exercise number 90 and anything like that is overkill. But who else is coming in now? I just heard a chime, but don't see a button to hit. Okay, Lex, it sounds like your microphone is not working. Okay, your microphone is now working. I felt sure I heard a chime, but don't see anything. Anyway, so the point of today's class, hello. I think some of this Zoom stuff tends to, it's invisible to y'all, but covering up parts of my screen. How can I move it out of the way here? I try to drag this list of participants, and anytime I touch it, it pops into the maximize. I guess I'll just have to minimize it, get it out of the way. Anyway, this today's assignment is what you see my AutoCAD screen. Again, I'd like you to put your name and first name and Wk1 as the file name. So that'll tell me I open up your file. I know by your first name, I know who I'm working with, and I'll add a red layer of comments. I haven't been collecting this week number 1 assignment in the past. Reserve the right to do that later. I've never really had to enforce this, but I'm hoping this exercise will enlighten some of the students that didn't come directly from introductory and realize that, whoa, I forgot more than I thought I did. And unfortunately, they're not running introductory now in the fall, so it's I like to use this exercise as a hint that, hey, maybe you ought to switch over to the introductory class. And it's up to you to attend both. Again, only intermediate is taught this time, but I don't mind when they're taught together if you attend them both and decide which you're more comfortable in. Cross-hatching, I think I demonstrated on the final day of introductory, but it's really not in the lesson plan for introductory. Anyway, let's get started on doing exercise number 90. I believe the textbook is missing this 30 unit dimension right here. And because of that, it's exercise 90 is on the errata sheet. I think your textbook has this dimension 7 locating both top and bottom circles. And the more I think of it, it's probably okay to dimension it in both places. My errata sheet points out that the 6 and 7 dimensions here are redundant because you can assume it's a mirror copy, right and left, up and down. But the more I think of it, I don't think it hurts to add those redundant dimensions. Let me open up some more files of what we're getting into. Yeah, I think after next week of stacking blocks together, we'll get into, okay, that's week number 5. Let me revert to the page 3. Not sure what page 3-1 was, but week number 3 we'll start working with these little lumber pieces. And, exercise I like to use is building a sawhorse. We'll learn how to use the slice command to slice a wedge off the leg of a sawhorse here, without having to know what angle this is to put on your miter saw. We can just use a 3-point slice command and lop off that plane right there. Eventually we'll generate the this design of a sawhorse. All right, I just heard a chime. Let me see if I can. Uh-oh. Hello, come on, come on. Damien is entering. Okay, they're letting Damien in. Also in the third week, I give you a little, how to put this, a little busy work exercise of things to make using the same tools we made the sawhorse out of. And I think you'll find that my handouts for this intermediate class cover a lot more exercises than we really have time to do. So I give you an extra page here and there to continue practicing between classes, if you like. And I'm tempted to say everything on here can be done just with the extrude command, align and slice. Can't remember. Maybe this mailbox might be a little tricky. Week number 4, we'll get into the revolve command. We'll use a couple. Okay, I guess the bottom of the page 4-1 gets you back to the textbook, exercise 72 and exercise 76. The textbook has a hole for this piston where the, what's it called, the wrist pin, I think, would go through, but for some reason we haven't, at this point, I think that's a little bit much to ask to place a cylinder through the center of the piston and extrude it. This one can be done easy with the extrude command. You just make a disc. Anyway, move right along. This is a little busy work. We'll learn the intercept command to make this table leg. And eventually, leveraging what we learned in working the sawhorse, we'll use the intersect command to make these legs and make a little end table. Week 5, we get into some 2D topics. Forgive me if I covered this the last day of introductory. But one intermediate topic, I think, even though it's not a 3D topic, is how do you select objects based on the layer they got, the color they got, in this case the angle of the diagonal. Your mission is to delete all these 45-degree lines. And you see there's very, very few that do not have a 45-degree line or are not at 45. Anyway, with filtering, we can, I'm getting deja vu. I did cover this in the end of introductory, but with AutoCAD's filtering, you can say, hey, AutoCAD, select all lines that are at an angle of 45 degrees. And similarly, you can say, hey, AutoCAD, select all pieces of text whose rotation is not 0. And you can straighten them all out with this database query. We'll also get into putting an XYZ coordinate on different sides of this little house shape object. You can only go so far with X and Y being on the floor of your solid model and Z being straight up. Sooner or later, you need to put X and Y on the side and bottom edge of a slope surface. And so we'll play with XYZ changes. Finally, in week 5, we get to viewports and layouts. I used to teach this the last day of introductory, but we shortened how many weeks we can teach now, so I bumped it into the intermediate. Kind of surprised I bumped it all the way to week 5. With these little, let me toggle over here to the model tab. Each of the viewports can show a different view of your 3D solid object. So when you when you get all right, Burgener. So you can have one camera looking at a southeast isometric here and one looking in front view. You know, it's kind of like having different cameras set up. Let me admit somebody with an iPhone is joining us. Let's see, 6, we'll get into making blocks. I can't remember if we got into blocks with 2-dimensional work. But there's very little change in making a rubber stamp out of a 3D object. So that each of these things, you can weld all the parts of this office chair together. So it's one welded assembly.
That is cool. He is good.
Like that, huh?
That's cool.
Okay. Eventually, I'm hoping I can assign one student to make an office chair, another to make an office file cabinet, another to make an office plant, on, and just for the sake of time, make it extremely, extremely crude to begin with. Well, then we'll share each other's blocks with the entire class, and as time permits, you can complicate and add arms and wheels and add more complexity to the block that you own.
This dude is good.
Then on week 6 we'll get into XREFs, where one of you will own the foundation of this little office trailer or whatever this is. And Jae-Suk is joining us. Met her, I believe. Anyway, by one student, might be me, owning the foundation, another one owning the desks, another one owning the telephones, another one owning the reflected ceiling plan. Every time the foundation changes, the guy that owns the desk has to, the foundation just changed shape. I got to rearrange these desks. And then the telephone subject matter expert says, the desks have all moved around. I got to catch up the telephones to meet where the new desks are. So it's kind of a merry-go-round or a musical chairs or however you want to compare it, everybody trying to keep up with everybody. And I think that's commonly done in architecture work.
It is.
You might have, 20 different subject matter experts all having other subjects as a background. Whoever owns the interior decorator doesn't care about the HVAC and electrical stuff, but So what else? That's about as far as I got drawings open coming. Oh, then eventually we'll assign attributes to a block. And attributes are kind of like little databases attached to these rubber stamper blocks. And it really gives intelligence to drawings. If you type in, say, the weight of this chair or the desk or a diesel engine on a submarine, the computer can estimate the list and trim based on the XYZ coordinate of the object and the weight that you've typed into the object. And gets into some high-tech intelligent drawings with attributes assigned to many of the objects. And I believe architects will be able to generate a bill of materials. With the computer can count how many repetitions of the desks are in the drawing and generate a table saying, hey, you got to order 10 of these, Acme model seats and 30 of these for the conference room and 20 of these for the break room. Same with the windows and doors and all the material that goes into your architectural drawing. Let me open up the final project. And let me go up here to the final project, which I think will take you a good 2 weeks to work on. Will be a birdhouse. Okay, I'm in the intro, dumbass.
Well, I can go through introduction because he's going to be teaching it. He's teaching intro, and I have the book. He's used that book also for intro. So,
yeah, I don't know. Somebody's got their mic on if they're unaware. Why am I having trouble? Someplace I got a file of bird houses that students have made in the past. And why am I not finding it? Well, let me go back to the 2019 intermediate class, and that might be where the birdhouses are. Okay, this is my bird. This is an old handout I had. Why did it not open up? There we go. I'll give you a list. I forget how old this file is, but I'll give you a list of 8 or 10 or 12 different requirements for your contract. And one of them is I want you to build some odd shape, a clover leaf or a snowman or this little Twitter bird or something, and use it to subtract away from the front board of the birdhouse, showing that you can remember how to join all these lines and arcs into a polyline and extrude them into a shape, and then overlay the extruded shape on this board and then subtract from the board the extruded shape, leaving the void in. We'll also learn the revolve command on how to spin like a baseball bat or something on a wooden lathe. I want you to make a perch using the revolve command with possibility of an exception or using primitives for it. You can stack a bunch of spheres up. It's probably about the same amount of work. Let's see. Yeah, many years ago, a couple students kind of got carried away and did these birdhouses. And I think on the backs of them, I should still have the student name, 3DFO, enter. View locked viewport, here we go. 3DFO, enter. Yep, there's the student name. Back 2012, James McLaughlin made this one. And I have no idea how many hours it took him to model this birdhouse. Again, this is above and beyond the Call of Duty. I think you can do everything that James McLaughlin did with what we cover in class. Here's a bunch of birdhouses, most of them I made. You know, some of them are just made just for the challenge of them. Yeah, I'm kind of proud of this pentagon-shaped one here. You look straight down on this birdhouse, it's a pentagon, but the roof is sloped. So, you know, it would be quite a woodworking challenge to, you know, set your table saw to make this pentagon birdhouse. Also, I don't believe these have the attributes on them, but I'd like you to attach 2 or 3 attributes, saying the model number, the date of manufacturer, I forget what else. It'll be on the list of the requirements. So you weld everything into a block and assign it these, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 different attributes. So that if you copy them 100 times, Microsoft Excel can generate a spreadsheet of, you know, how many Model 7 birdhouses there are, and how many Model 7s have been doubled in scale, and how many are on the 3rd deck of the ship, and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, again, today's mission is just to remind ourselves how smart we are, or how much we've retained from introductory. I got about 10 minutes to 5. Want to take a break this early, and eventually I'll walk you through this exercise and you know, jog your memory if you've forgotten anything. Take a break until 5 o'clock. Hearing no objection, I got 4:51 on the computer. Let's reconvene at 5 o'clock then, and I'll go through the step 1 of today's assignment is to make the list of layers. Some of you may have forgotten. I'll have to admit these are not in alphabetical order. I saw that a little late. And I'll walk you through toggling from one layer to the next to draw the green, the blue, the red, and, you know, remember the mirror command. Once you made one, wish I could zoom in on this. I don't know why it won't let me. Anyway, once you make one double circle with red sniper scopes, just simply mirror it to the next one, and then mirror the 2 into the other side. And once you make the hidden view of the holes with the what's it called, countersink, you know, don't redraw it over here, mirror it over there. Okay, see you in 10 minutes then. Oh man. All right, I got 5 o'clock, folks. Some of you may still be out on break. Again, I covered this at the last day of introductory, so bear with me if it's a repeat. If time permits, I'd like to get into these images out of maps.google or MapQuest. You know, one of the mapping websites, you can screen capture a map, and hopefully you got a bar scale in the corner down here. This one says 200 feet. So with the scale command, you can scale this so that this line is exactly 200 feet long. And it's with other screen captures of closer and closer areas, you can align them. I think this is the parking lot that we used to park at when we had classes at the apprentice school. So I aligned this aerial image on the background so that the roads are contiguous. And with this technology, you can plot your 2-mile jogging path, or trace the area that you want to build the new parking lot. And AutoCAD will tell you how many square feet that area is. And there's also some, I don't have a file open, but with a scanned gasket or a bell crank or piece of sheet metal, you know, it's kind of imaginary if you're out in the oil field and you know, one of the rigs breaks down, you know, take a photograph of the broken part, bring in the photograph into AutoCAD, you can scale it and reverse engineer it and develop a blueprint for the machinist to manufacture a new part with this AutoCAD imagery stuff. Another thing, if I may show off, years ago I cut pieces out. This was stop sign metal that I'd liberate out of dumpsters. a little embarrassed to admit, but I was trying to make this thing, and I ran into the difficulty of bending this steel plate here. And that's where I stalled out. Never figured a way to heat it up and bend it or take it to a shop and have it bent. But with this trailer hitch and an old bumper jack from a 70s car, you can raise this little elevator up and down the trailer hitch to adjust the ball to, to a wide range of heights. Not only you can keep your trailer level by adjusting this hitch ball up and down the elevator, but you can tilt your trailer to almost make it a dump truck, possibly even tilt a car carrying trailer so you can winch the car straight up the ramp and onto the trailer. One of these days I'll find all the pieces and get back to building this, see if it really holds together.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes, Dan.
I've bent 3/8 plate with a log splitter.
Oh,
Take a piece of wood, like a 4x6, put
yeah.
a V-notch in it, and then bring your knife edge of the log splitter up to it and bend it.
I'm with you. A neighbor of mine's got a log splitter. Another similar option, I could borrow the, what do you call, a bearing press from
Yes.
one of the shops on base and do that. Well, that's a good idea. Years ago, I'd put a bunch of weld beads across and just wail on it forever with a hammer, but getting a little old for that. Another thing, if I may show off a bit here, years ago when my kids were in the marching band, Pirates of the Caribbean were in style, so we did the halftime show, playing music from the Pirates of the Caribbean, and I used surfaces, not solids, but surfaces to model this mock-up of a pirate ship, where the drum major would stand on a podium and dance to the music or whatever drum majors do. And if I do say so myself, that was a very good halftime performance with this pirate ship made out of black landscaping fabric and old plastic pipes. What else have I got here? Oh, getting back to what we'll cover in the next 9 weeks. I haven't finalized the handouts for this quarter yet, but I want to learn you text fields. You can within a piece of text, you can have a word be an intelligent object. In this case, this. Watch it make a liar out of me. That the rectangle around this intelligent field I just did to simulate what you'll see on your computer. But check it out. If I were to stretch this polyline, now keep an eye on this number, 9670 here. I'm going to stretch the parking lot out and watch it make a liar out of me. Regen 9670 should, there we go, it shot up to 11,490. So this is another way of giving intelligence to your CAD drawings. You can, using fields in your text, you could have it print out. I often use this as a plot stamp in drawings. It'll plot out the date and time that the drawing was last saved. I've seen architecture drawings come in that have the name of the CAD operator, the user ID of the CAD operator in the plot stamp of who last worked on it. You can also have an attribute. You just add it right here in the paragraph, and another attribute might tell you the length of the curbing all the way around the parking lot. And from the square footage of the asphalt and the perimeter of the curbing, it's pretty easy to estimate the cost of this parking lot. Let's see. Yeah, again, this is a plot stamp. My phony highlighting kind of got out of sync. But what else? These are very old. Now the array command, you can replicate a symbol all the way down the length of a polyline. But we used to use the divide command or the measure command to replicate and place a point or a symbol every so many, every quarter of a polyline or every 30 feet of the polyline. This is kind of a bad example, but here I wrap these desks around, kind of like you were, imagine if you were arranging lawn chairs around the swimming pool of the new Hilton Hotel. There's also a way that you can effectively simulate a ballpoint pen with AutoCAD. I don't think it's very commonly used, but you can make some settings and just, let me show you. Sketch. Somebody come in. I don't see any buttons to click on. Where was I? Sketch. Increment. I want the length of each segment to be this long. I think it's ready to start working. Now you can really fatten up a file fast with this. And here I just drew a polyline by spinning my cursor around. It's probably higher tech now, but it used to be a way you could kind of sort of put a signature on a drawing by using this sketch command. Not a very secure, high-tech signature. That was a topic we used to have in intermediate. What else have I got here? Okay, more birdhouses. Anyway, 5:15, got an hour and a half yet. How far have anybody gotten underway with exercise number 90 for today's assignment?
I have. I've gotten pretty far. I think I need a few more things though.
Excellent. That's Ahmed. Damien.
Yes.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. I remember we've conversed. Appreciate you helping me test the Zoom stuff the other day. So glad you're getting motivated. I just noticed I was about to say this is an old drawing I got down here, but that's a new date on the field at the bottom. For a long time, I had handouts that had this counterbore area much larger than it should have been. I was afraid I might have missed a file and carelessly. Anyway. All right, well, let's get going then. Taking page 1-1 of today's handouts, let's start with brand new start from scratch drawing, acad.dwt, and create and make use of a set of layers. Now, a lot of people, myself included, we kind of hit the ground running and just put everything on layer 0. And then later realized, hey, I need stuff in different colors and different layers. It's probably better CAD habit to make your layers first and toggle from current layer to current layer. But I don't know how many people are, have that good of a habit. Let's click on layer properties. I think this was middle of introductory class, week 3 or 4. Every time you click on this icon with the starburst on it, you generate a new layer. You can rename them the instant you create them, or go back later and rename them. So here I've gone back to rename layer number 2. We'll name that one, say, center. No need to create the 0 layer. You can't rename it, and you can't get rid of it, so you're given that one for free. Handout says center layer should be red and center line type. So let's go over here after naming layer 2 center. We'll come over and click on the color swatch, assign the layer name center the color red. Click OK. Line type is continuous on all brand new layers. You would think you could click on this word continuous and a menu pops up of different types of lines. Center line, phantom, fence, gas, what else? Hidden, dot, dash. Unfortunately, a start from scratch drawing only has continuous, because start from scratch drawing fresh out of the box AutoCAD is stripped down, no frills, lightweight, minimum file size. Your system administrator probably ought to populate your standard default template file with every line type you'll ever need. And later, every text style, a dimension style, title block and drawing file, or backgrounds. Your template file may be several hundred kilobytes. If you get everything you'd ever need on it. Anyway, starting from scratch, you only got continuous. You need to load your line types. Every time you load one, it fattens up your file a little bit, whether you use the line type or not. So it's not good practice to load all line types, because that just wastes a lot of file space. 700 bytes per line type, as I recall from decades ago. Probably ought to redo that experiment. I click the load button, and again, it's easy to Control-A and select them all and load them all, but it takes up file space unnecessarily, and it kind of gives you too long a list to find what you're looking for quickly. We want to load the hidden line type eventually, with a hidden layer down here, further down the layer list. So I'll load the hidden layer. I'll scroll alphabetically and hold the Control button down and select all 3 flavors of center line types. I wish they were named a little differently so they'd be in order from small to large, but center 2 is intended for very, very small circles. All the lines are short. A short long line, a gap, a short line, a gap, a short long line. So all these lines are short, so they're used to draw the sniper scopes on small circles. Center is about the average, and then center 2 is for the biggest circles. A long, long line, gap, long, short line, gap, long, long line. So some people just use one line type and tweak a property of each and every line drawn on the one center line layer. But I think it's good practice to use multiple line types, but still don't know which is common in industry. Anyway, I got the 4 lines selected now, hidden in the 3 line types by holding the control button down. I'll click OK. Now I've got them loaded, but I haven't assigned any of these newly loaded line types to the layer center. Chart says layer center should have the line type named to center, so I'll click on center and click OK. And there it updates the red center layer to use the center line type. With that layer selected, I can click the new button, and the newest layer will have the next numbered name, but it'll be a clone of the selected layer, so it's red and center already. To follow the handout, I'll name this layer center 2. By having the center layer selected when I click new, it automatically makes the new layer the same color. So got that. I'll click on the center line type and change the line type for this layer to center 2 to match the name of the layer for convenience. Your layers could be named Fred, Joe, and Bob. Click OK. Click new again. Type a new name, center X2 for the largest circles. Click on the line type, select center 2, click OK. I'll double click slowly on a layer that hasn't been assigned a good name yet. Next one down the list, again, my handout's not in alphabetical order as it should be. Maybe fix it for the next time. We want one layer called dimensions to place our dimensions on. Handout says everything drawn on the dimensions layer or later moved to the dimension layer should be in color magenta. So I'll click in the color table of the layer properties dialog box, select magenta, and because that layer was selected when 0 was selected, it still has a continuous line type. What's next? Hidden. I'll click twice. Let me close this layer property dialog box, and just for repetition for the newcomers, layer properties, about the first and most important tool of layers is this great big layer property icon here. Everything else is a shortcut. So get friendly with the layer properties icon, and later play with the shortcuts. We'll click layer properties. Up pops the layers that we've already built. What happened? I think I accidentally docked the oh, that's properties, my bad. I'll get this thing float. There we go. Notice they're in alphabetical order. From the layer 0, the C's in alphabetical order, D, L. Anyway, again, you can change the name by gently, slowly clicking on a layer twice. Another way is to click it once and right-click on it and go to the rename layer. This is one of the things, AutoCAD copied from Microsoft. So either way, two slow gentle clicks or one click and right click and pick rename. We'll change layer number 1 to hidden. Change the color of the newly named layer hidden to cyan. And we'll change the line type of the layer to hidden. Just a little review. Remember, if the line type you want to use on the layer is not already loaded, click the load button and select from this list of, I've never counted them, 30 or 50, I guess. Tracks, phantom, gas, hot water, dot, dash, divide. Select the line type you want from the loaded and load it up. Then it'll be available to select for the layer. Hidden is already loaded, so I'll select hidden from the list of loaded line types and click OK. I haven't been checking the line weight column. I guess from habit. So far, they've all been default line weight. AutoCAD's method of making lines thin, medium, or bold. So far, so good. Everything is default. Let's click a new layer. It's going to be a clone of hidden because I had hidden selected. Let's name one of the next layer object. Click color, change it to green. Keep tempted to change it to a darker shade so it prints out better, but let's stick with the handout. Click OK. The line type for the object layer, we don't want hidden as the selected layer was. We want it to be continuous. And since the object is the stuff on the object layer is the most important for your drawing, the perimeter of the machine part or the wires of your electrical schematic, whatever. Well, that probably would be electrical. Anyway, I'm going to change the line weight of everything on the object layer from default to 0.5 millimeter. Default is, fresh out of the box AutoCAD, is 1/4 millimeter. You can change default to be whatever you want. But fresh out of the box, I remember it's 0.25 millimeters. So object will be twice as fat as lines drawn on any other layer. We'll select this default named layer, right click, pick rename, and rename it hatching. Assign it color number, what was it, 40? Rather than hunting and pecking around till you find color number 40, just go ahead and type in color number 40. These basic colors here, you can also type in the word red, yellow, green, magenta, or the number. 1, 2, 3, color number 7 is the only color that changes, depending on whether your background is white or black. Color number 7 will be white or black to contrast with the background. Again, we want for the hatching to be this shade of orange. Color number 40, click OK. And we don't use it, but since it's on the syllabus, let's create a layer for the viewports. Maybe when I made this handout, perhaps I thought we could use, we could create a template with these layers and later use it when we get into viewports and layouts. It's a little early, but just to stick with the handout, let's name a layer viewports. I suggest using color yellow. I've seen professionals have a faint shade of gray, but you want a color that is not very attention grabbing. Yellow is about as close to white as you can get. So I recommend yellow. I'll click OK. Now check it out. Viewports, in my opinion, should not be used as borders in your drawing. Most viewports are rectangular. I showed you viewports earlier. You can have a viewport showing different top, bottom, right, left, zoom in, zoom out. Each viewport could have a different telephoto lens camera rigged to it. And in rare cases, I've seen a viewport that was used as a border, but I think that's bad practice. We don't want them to print out at all. So let's take advantage of this AutoCAD feature that we can control what layers plot out and what do not plot out. You'll see it on your screen perfectly, but it'll never appear on a plot out, even a PDF plot out. By the way, first time you dimension anything, you'll automatically get a dimension called depth points. It never plots out. That's very, very old technology, but depth points still remain just for the sake of programmers that wrote programs taking advantage of depth points layer. I think some people may still draw on depth points, but there's really no need to, because any layer could be rigged to never plot. So we got our layers. We'll click close. We'll reopen. They're in alphabetical order. I guess hatching and hidden are the ones that corrected. Only the object layer is bold, 0.5 millimeter. All the rest are default, which is still 0.25. Most people start drawing on the object layer. Sometimes I might create a construction layer and draw a kind of a sketch, a bunch of like a grid work. But I think most people start on drawing on object layer. So how do you make the object layer the layer that you're going to draw on? Well, you make it the current layer. Right now, 0 is the current layer. If we were to close this out and begin drawing lines, arcs, and circles, everything would be on the 0 layer. So let's set the object layer to be the current layer. So we'll hit the ground drawing on the object layer. 2 ways to do that. You can double click on it, and the check mark will change from 0 to object. Or with object selected, you can come up here and click the green check mark icon. That reassigned the current layer to be the object layer, and up here in the upper left corner it shows, once I get out of close the layer property manager dialog box, I'll be drawing on object layer with text, lines, arcs, circles, solids, whatever I'm drawing. Double checking. Don't think I've overlooked or forgot anything. Let's close. Let's come back to creating the dimension style. And let's come back to setting the LT scale. That's kind of a steroid for how big the lines and gaps are on line types that have lines and gaps. The higher the LT scale is for your drawing, the longer the gaps are, and longer the lines are. So with this way, you can put a whole aircraft carrier on a letter size sheet of paper, and by setting the LT scale super high, the gaps can be, I don't know, 10 feet long maybe for the center line of an aircraft carrier on a letter size sheet of paper. Carriers are 1,000 foot, 10 feet. Yeah, that might be accurate. Anyway, let's go, right, let's start drawing object lines. My habit is typically drawing the front view first. You know, to each his own. But let's start with the center of the front view, draw some circles and draw this arc, and then draw the right side. And once we got something on the right side, let's mirror it across to the left side. Now, I tend to rattle the keyboard with all the aliases I learned, but for sake of students, I'll try to stick with the icons. With the exception of this 30, we'll need to go to the textbook. Here I've given you the page of the textbook as what's this, exercise 90 drawing that I emailed. Again, I made a few improvements since I emailed it, but they're minor. The circles are all, whoops, the two small circles are dimensioned by diameter. That's the circle phi. That's global machine shop language. When you see a circle slash, that means diameter. R, of course, means radius, or half the diameter. We'll drop down on the circle icon, click Circle Center Diameter method of drawing a circle. Pick a point, any point, and we will type 12 for the small circle. I don't know how much of the screen it's going to fill up. Probably most of the screen, I think. Click. Nope, a little smaller than I expected. That's fine. Now remember, in introductory, I learned you to set Burgener's 5 favorite object snaps: endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, and intersection. So most of the time, you just leave them on Burgener's 5 favorite, and that's all you'll need. Rare occasion, you might want to conduct an O-snap override for perpendicular, tangent, nearest. I think a few textbooks force you to use parallel. Anyway, keep your O-snaps set for those 5, and keep your polar tracking set for 45-degree angle increments. Most textbooks tell you to keep it at 90 this earlier in your training, but I think 45 has a few advantages. Those are the only 2 status bars I recommend you have turned on. Every status bar except those 2 is kind of grayed out, indicating it is off. Well, how do you know you might have some buttons that are not being displayed? Well, click over here on the status bar menu. In first day of introductory class, I tell students to put a check mark so that every status bar button is visible. Because if a status bar button is not visible, you've got no way of knowing whether it's on or off. So have all of them visible so that they all display, so that you can see that all of them are tuned off, except for polar tracking set to 45 and object snap tracking set to Burgener's 5 favorite. Getting back to drawing circles, let's click Circle Center Diameter icon again. It's on the ribbon now because it's the last one we used on the flyout. You just home in, rest slide your cursor over the circumference, and that'll highlight the center of the circle for you. Click, come out and type the 23, enter for the diameter of the next larger circle. Now there's an arc across the top here that's radius of 14. Why can I not highlight that with my cursor? Always something. That's okay. We'll drop down and select circle center radius to draw that arc at the top. We'll begin with a full circle. Eventually we'll trim it down to just the arc we want to print out. So click on center radius, hover to home in again on the center, and type the radius for that arc, which is 14, enter. Now 15 units below the center of the circle is where we want the bottom of this metal object to be. So I'll draw a line across the center, excessively long, and move it straight down 15 units using polar tracking, set to, in this case, 270 degrees straight down, or negative 90 degrees. I'll type the distance I want to move in that direction, 15, and hit enter. We want the line to be 42. Well, let's see. This is a little roundabout way, but from the bottom of this circle, let's come down, snap at the intersection, and take our polar tracking line in the 0 degree direction and send it 21 units to the right. And we'll delete or erase the 42 line. Well, what I'm doing is drawing half of the object so I can easily mirror it across. So it took a few steps, but I got half the bottom. I'll erase that little construction line I drew on the object layer. From this corner here at the end of the 21 unit line, I'll draw straight up, snap on it, polar track straight up, type 8, enter. Hello, my mouse slipped while I wasn't looking. I'll hit U, enter, to undo. Be more careful. 8, enter. Now, this little diagonal line here is at a 45 degree angle. It's dimensioned on the left side, and when things look like they're symmetric, it's safe to assume they are. That's why I had a little bit of trouble with the dimension 7 here being repeated twice. It looks symmetric about a horizontal center line, so I see need for only one. Anyway, let's send the 45 degree line excessively long. We'll trim it away later. There we go. 1 unit is the horizontal distance between the vertical line at the top and the vertical line at the bottom. So we can start a line here, come 1 unit to the left, excuse me, then straight up excessively long. We'll trim it later. So here we got the makings of this vertical line 45 and then another vertical line. Before we trim it away, let's add a few more guidelines. I'll draw a line, start from here and go up exactly 25 units, hit enter, and then come across until we intersect with the polar tracking line and the green circle. So now we can trim away and erase and get the right edge of this solid object, or this steel object. Okay, I think I can erase this guy, remembering that I already had the short section. Everything else I'll trim away 4 whiskers. Click the trim icon. I'm tempted to type TR enter, but to each his own. Click the trim icon. This is why I suggest my command area won't enlarge. I suggest having 3 lines of text visible above the command line. Trim is one of the reasons why. It's telling you to select objects. Well, what objects do we want to select? Well, if it were to show the 2 lines of text above this, it won't take time to figure out why I can't stretch the command area window larger. Anyway, it would say cutting edges. Select the objects you want to be cutting edges. My advice is to hit enter and select all objects to be cutting edges. That way, no matter where you click, stuff will be disintegrated from the cutting edge to the right to the cutting edge to the left, or up or down. So I'll hit enter, accepting the default is select all. When you see the carrots like this, what's in the middle is what AutoCAD is guessing you want to answer. If that's a correct guess, just hit enter and nod your head and say, yep, that's what I want to do. So selecting all, now it says select object to trim. Why did it appear now but before? I won't lose sleep on it. I'm going to machine gun the whiskers that I want to shave off from cutting edge to cutting edge. If there's only one cutting edge, it'll disintegrate from it all the way to the end. So far, so good. What else? Let's isolate this arc down to just this section here that we can mirror over later. Well, we need a cutting edge right here through the top of the circle, so we can trim 3/4 or 7/8 of the circle apart. We'll draw a line from any one of these quadrants, one of Burgener's 5 favorites, straight up. Now with the trim command, hit enter so everything's a cutting edge. We can disintegrate the piece of the circle that does us no good. Hit enter to finish the trim command, hit the erase icon and blip that away. So we're well on our way to being able to mirror this piece. Now we can only draw so much of the hidden line of the hole drilled through here before we need to see the entire circles in the top view. So let's draw the top view at least long enough to get the 2 green circles in the lower right corner. And that way we can O-snap from the quadrants and centers of those 2 green circles to build guidelines down that we can later trim away and move to the proper layer. Well, let's draw some guidelines. I know that the far right edge of the top view is going to line up with the far right edge of the front view here, so I'll draw a guideline straight up. Again, it might be a better, more professional habit to put these on a layer named construction, but I don't know how many are that professional. I'm going to copy this line because I'm too lazy to move my mouse so many times. I'm going to copy it to critical points. That's all the critical points I know right now. And I'll draw a circle, draw a line straight across. Trim this guy away, enter. So this will be the lower right of my top view, right here. Center of the circles is 7 units up from the bottom of the top view. So I'll copy this line 7 units up. And then copy or offset, either one, since these are orthographic lines, you know, up, down, right, left. I'll offset or ortho this line over 6 units. So 7 up, 6 to the left will give me an intersection I can target to make these 2 green circles here. How we doing on? Don't see anybody's tuned out. That's nice. Where was I? Oh, copy. What the heck? Offset's probably a little more powerful. Copy will work fine for these right, left, up, down lines, but offset is a little more powerful because you can do it on diagonal lines. Oh, whoops, hit escape. To get out of the command, click offset. I want to offset this horizontal line upward 7. So after setting the offset icon, I'll answer the question, specify offset distance. That'll be 7, enter. Click the green line, click up. Hit enter, enter again, and reset the offset specified offset distance to 6 and hit enter. Select the vertical line and click over. Rot var is where the 2 green circles will form. Once I get those circles, I can erase these two green construction lines I drew on the object layer. Let's see, all 4 circles have are 3 diameter and 6 diameter. They're all 4 assemblies of double circles, I should say. That's what you see when you get the 4x. That means somewhere on this drawing, there are 4 places where there's a 3-unit diameter circle, and there are 4x or 4 places where there's a 6-unit diameter green circle. So these all 4 of these circle assemblies are 3 and 6 diameters. So we'll drop down circle, click circle center diameter, click on the intersection and type 3, enter. Click the same icon again, snap on the same intersection or center again and type 6, enter. Now we can blow away these green construction lines before they cause confusion. While we're on here, let's draw the center lines. You know, again, it's probably, I forget which layer will work. I'll put it on the wrong layer just to demonstrate. You know, center X2 layer and line type are for large circles. And we'll soon find that these are not large circles. These are small circles. So let's go on line. I'll draw a line from quadrant to quadrant. Here it made a liar out of me. I got the dashed line after all, didn't I? When I did this last time, I ended up having an LT scale, I believe, a 10. So I think we'll have way too many dotted, they're dashes, when we go to this one. But let's continue. I'll mirror this center line from the midpoint at a 45-degree angle and answer the final question. No, I do not want to erase the source object. That's the suggested default. So I'll just hit enter. I'll scale these two lines, enter, about their midpoint or the center of the circle by a factor of 1.3, enter. And that looks good now, but remember I use the largest line type. If I try to do the exact same thing over here, oh, I'm using typing instead of the icons, my bad. Select the two, type 1.3, that's Burgener's factor. That's all the whiskers sticking outside of the circle are proportional to the diameter of the circle. This little whisker here is the same fraction of the circle diameter as this whisker is a fraction of the diameter. But check it out, we got lots and lots of blank spaces, even though we're using the layer and line type for large circles. Let's make this one look good by changing LT scale, and then we'll figure moving these two to a layer and line type for smaller circles. Now this is kind of hit and miss. I'll admit I practiced recently. Line type scale is a bit hard to find on it's hard to find on the dialog box wherever it is. I can't even remember where it is, so I'd have to find it. So I'm just going to type LTS, enter. That's the alias for line type scale. I'm going to start from scratch drawing. LTS is 1. Let's change it to 10 and hit enter. Okay, I think I end up scaling these a hair more so that this red line, yeah, what the heck, let's LTS, we'll change it to 9. Why did it not get center line, the plus sign in the middle there? All right, LTS, enter 6. There we go. Notice the gap's a little big. Let's go LTS, say 8. All right, LTS 7. Now I think when we get the lines down here, this red line is going to touch a bad point where it's a little confusing, and I think we're going to end up enlarging these by 1.1, just a hair to get the whisker past the bottom here and the whisker out of the clutter over here in the cyan and red lines. Anyway, getting back here, let's change these to the smaller layer. This is one of the shortcuts. Well, frankly, you can't do this from there, so I shouldn't have said shortcut. And anyway, from properties, or from this drop-down list, I can move it into the center line type. And why did a plus sign not appear there? Up. Okay, I moved it to center. I should have moved it to center 2. Remember, they're not in large to small order, they're in alphabetical order. So center 2 is the line type for the small circles. And it still didn't do anything. All right, be that way. We'll select them both, right click, open up the properties for those two, and change the line type scale multiplier in properties to something slightly less. Okay, so I kind of, unfortunately, I had to kind of deviate from my everything by layer law by customizing the LT scale and prop. Anyway, where was I? Let's see. Let's trim this guideline. This one. I believe we need a little bit to go there. All right, let's trim a few and we'll erase a few later. I'll launch the trim icon, hit enter so everything's a cutting edge. Trim that guy away, trim that guy away. Trim these two away. These two will still help us. Nope. Might as well trim that guy away too. Trim, enter. There. So this guy will keep just long enough for the tiny little piece of cyan hidden line shown right there. We want a line across the top here that's 30 units from here. A couple ways of doing that. Did the offset method before. Let's do it again. Launch the offset command. Offset command. You can turn off properties now, though some people might leave it permanently on. What happened? There we go. Let's see, where was it? Offset 30. We want the offset distance to be. Select the line we want to offset, then select which direction we want the offset to go. Again, copy is just as easy here. Looks like I misjudged, not quite long enough, not a problem. We'll use the fillet command. I believe the radius is set for 0, but let's double check. Yep. Hit enter to accept it and leave it at 0. Click, click, and there they go to a 0-degree radius at the corner. I believe I can trim off everything up here. And I guess I could trim this off too. Not sure why I thought I'd anyway. Trim, enter. Being incredibly lazy, I'm not going to go click, 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 click. I'm going to go F, enter, and draw a fence line across. Click this guy. That's all the trimming I want to do. To get that little cyan line here, I'll offset this green guy 2 units. Offset, enter, to enter, click, boom. Why did it not do anything? Huh. Well, forgive me, I'll try it again. Offset distance, how to get to be 39? Oh, looks like I mistyped 30, didn't I? Always something, ain't it? All right, we'll erase that top guy and do it correctly. Offset 30, not 39, enter. Click, click. Now we can trim, enter, F for fence. Where was I? Let's offset this guy, getting back where we were, offset this long line up 2 units. Hit escape, escape, offset, set the distance to 2, hit enter, click this line, click there, click this line and down for good measure. Hit escape to get out of the offset command, click trim, hit enter, blow away that guy, and there, and erase these little whiskers that didn't come out of the trim. Now we can change all 4 of these lines to the hidden layer. What else? We'll change this one to the hidden layer. And we will trim, enter, shave off a couple of unnecessary. This guy will move to one of the center layers. Let's see, the handout has 2 gaps. So there we go. If we put it to the center layer, it'll have 2 gaps. Now we still need to scale it. It might create a 3rd short line. We'll deal with that when we get there. Scale, as always, Burgener's 1.3 rule. Good, it stayed at 2 gaps. Let's mirror this circle and center line assembly, enter, about the center line. I'm tempted to say the top view's done once we mirror it over. We can mirror the top and the front view over one step later. Let's draw some more construction lines straight down. From this intersection to the intersection right there is a 45-degree line. Let's move these to the hidden layer. I think it'll get the intersection O-snap a little bit more cooperative. O-snap there to there. And trim, enter. And erase. And move to hidden or match properties. You need another guideline straight down the center. We'll mirror up. Let's draw another hidden line. I forget, this might be missing from your book. I can't remember. I've seen this. Anyway, we'll change that to the hidden layer. Now we're ready to mirror all these cyan stuff straight over this red center line. Mirror, select everything, enter, O snap, polar up, enter. We'll trim away, enter, isolating just the center line. We'll scale it by Burgener's 1.3 as usual. And here on the handout shows 2 small lines, so let's move it to a line type that will have more short lines. There we go. Now here's where, you know, that is such a small gap that at a distance it looks like it intersects.
Excuse me, Paul, Stan.
Yes, Dan.
This homework assignment, do you want us to put dimensions on it?
Short answer is yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm a little hesitant because I believe I've waived them in the past. Might have placed a few dimensions and then looked at the clock and says, well, you get the idea. But yeah, let's proceed to dimension as much as we can. I still haven't decided if I want to collect it and nitpick them during the week or not. Where were we? Let's scale these. Well, I am a little bit nervous about that. Let's scale this a hair, and that might allow us to uncustomize these two at that 0.9, whatever I did for the, anyway. Scale, select them both, enter, O snap. We wanted a hair longer, so 1.05, say. Now I believe we can go LT scale hair higher. It made a liar out of me again. Where was it? 6 or 7? F2 will bring up the I guess I set it back to 7 again. Let's see, we can erase a few of these lines. I believe we're all set to mirror virtually everything except this circle across this vertical center line. And that circle. Let's go to mirror. Here we go. Check this out. I'll select everything with a regular window. And just the one vertical center line in the front view far left. And I want to deselect. All right. Click, hold the shift button and deselect that vertical line. Hit enter. We got 33 objects selected. Depending on how you did yours, you may have the same or maybe a little fewer. Enter, O snap on any of these center lines, polar up or down. Answer the final question. No, I do not want to delete the original. There we go. It's getting a little bit close to the UCS origin. It won't print out, but before it causes confusion, I'm going to move everything into the positive quadrant. We also, the full section view, which I don't know if putting it right here to the right of the front view is wise. But if I put it down here, then it'll be harder to put on a sheet of paper. So anyway, I'm going to copy this over as the handout has and prepare it for the cross-hatching for the full full section view. Now, full sections views don't have any hidden lines. They're very rarely dimensioned. Bottom line, I'm going to erase this big circle and move all the hidden lines to the object layer. Got careless with the center line. I'll use match properties. I want the properties of this line to apply to this. Some might say to leave the center line as they are for the sake of this top arc. But let's match the handout. I'm going to scale the center lines much shorter. How much shorter? 0.6 maybe? Scale them down maybe another 0.9, enter. Move them to a finer layer. Now I need to crosshatch 1, 2, 3 areas, but these, nope, red lines will not interfere. So let's set current the cross-hatching layer, start the cross-hatching procedure. Over here on the draw panel of the home tab. Click the 3 areas. ANSI 31 happens to be the pattern. Not sure why, if that's default or last used or what. Interesting, the scale is grayed out. Why is that? Well, let's just hit enter. All right, Burgener, why are you not? And hit escape. I'm going to double click on this cross hatching and change the scale, I think, to say 10, enter. Now on the paper, you want to have these lines 1/8 of an inch apart. All the textbooks will say that. But we don't know how big it's going to be on a sheet of paper yet. So we're kind of just about as far along as we can. I think it'll be a slight increase. Where are we now? 10? Yeah, 10. I think it's, I'm guessing the handout I did 11 or 12 by counting the crosshatch lines across the green line here. Worry about that later. Getting back to dimensioning, by the way, it's probably a good idea to save your drawing several times by now. I will drop down to the D drive. AutoCAD class 2020 fall student work, week number 1. I don't have a folder yet for all the students. Here's where I practiced earlier. I'll call this one Paul A1, Paul WK1A, just to give it a new name. Getting back to dimensioning, we need to create a new dimension style. Starting with standard, we're going to create a new one. Let's name it, say, WK1. How do I get back to my handout? There it is. For the dimensions, create a new style starting with standard, but use the change the use overall scale of setting to 12. Suppress leading zeros and precision set to 0, 0 for linear only. That's another change I made. Click continue. On the fit tab is where we get to the use overall scale of 12. Still haven't gotten these memorized perfectly. I believe primary units has got the leading 0 suppression and the precision set to 00 instead of 40. Now, one of my earlier handouts had the precision for angles set to 00, but I've changed my mind on that. Just default, integers is plenty good. Set current after we've set the dim style. Oh, my bad. I've just modified the standard style. Bad, bad, bad. Can I undo it? It's a little tedious to restore the standard dimension style after carelessly altering it. Okay, it looks like I successfully undoed. I'm going to click new. Well, I thought I did that. Didn't I give it a new name? I'm talking, thinking, and drawing at the same time. Change the use overall scale to 12. Set leading to truncate. 00. Leave angle set to 0 precision. Click OK. With our new layer selected, click Set Current. Click Close. Set the layer current, the dimensions. And then we'll start with just to match the handout there. Toggle over to the completed exercise 90 handout. What happened? Going across the top here, this is about where I say you get the idea. I guess we could have made some settings so we didn't have to massage, tweak a few of these dimensions. Well, that's interesting. I'm not sure how your textbook has it. The handout has dimensioned these two. And then grip edit to slide the text clear of the red line. It's a good habit to have your first arrowhead. Spacing from the arrowhead to your object is a little bit more for the first arrowhead than it is between the first and second arrowhead. I forget what the distance should be. 1/2 and 3/8 maybe. Half inch here on the paper and 3/8 there. It's been a long time. Let's see, we'll dimension these guys up here. We want the 4x included in the text of the dimension. And there's a way you can do it right the first time. Now what happened? There we go. I just assume place it by default and then edit the dimension text as a separate step. We'll drop down to the diameter dimension tool. And again, this smart icon, I guess if you learn it, you know, I'm such an old dog, I can't get away from the old ways. This has got a couple of tricks to it. If you learn the smart icon, you might be able to do this stuff faster. I'll click there, I'll zoom in. Trying to match the handout as close as I can. Then I'll O-snap there and try to match the handout as close as I can. Now, how do I put the 4x? Well, double click on the text of the dimension. I know that, you can't see it, but I know the cursor is flashing at the far left of this text. So what I type is going to be placed to the left of this associative magic text. You don't trust me that the cursor is flashing over here to the left, we'll just hit the home icon on your keyboard. And then you can rest assured that the cursor popped over to the home of that line of text. And you want to add 4, Shift capital X space, click outside. There you go. If I were to scale this drawing by a factor of 3, the associative text would reflect the scaling. This would go from diameter 3 to diameter 9, but the 4x would ride forever. I'd have to change the text style to increase the size of the height too. Anyway, escape, my voice is about giving out. 4 capital X plus, click outside.
Excuse me, Paul?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes, sir.
I'm creating the dimensions. My text is good size, but my arrows are too small. How do I correct?
Perhaps your template file has been modified. It sounds like someone got into, yeah, check your dimension style. And I wonder if somebody changed your arrowhead size from the fresh out of the box 0.180 down to maybe 0.125. Could that be, Dan?
Can you point to where your arrow size is? Oh, right there. I see it now. I got 0.180.
Huh. Yet your arrowheads are smaller than the handout. And
Oh yeah, I can barely see them.
huh.
And I did the fit use overall scale of 12.
Right. That should have magnified the text height and the arrowhead height.
No, it's probably a thing with this mechanical version of AutoCAD in the company, like the line types and the layers. Okay, forget about it.
I think you're right. Perhaps your mechanical is using a block for an arrowhead instead of the, the arrowhead created by the dim style.
And last time I had to create a viewport to make the arrowheads and the dimensions come out looking good.
Oh man,
That's all right.
well, that's disappointing. I would have thought the mechanical could be dummied down to vanilla AutoCAD transparently and smoothly. Always something, ain't it?
Yes. Thank you.
Let's keep machine gunning away on dimensions. Again, I think if I'd set one of the variables in the dimension style, I wouldn't have to grip edit so many of these dimensions. Actually, interesting. You got 40 dimensioned here, 42 dimensioned here. Why is there a need for that? I'm sorry. I thought up here this spacing right here was dimensioned as 1. I'm not seeing it now.
It is at the bottom, isn't it? Doesn't it show it?
Yes, right there. Thank you. Damien speaking?
Yes.
Well, that tells me that we got a redundant dimensioning here then. And that, the 42 and the 40 already cover the 1. I might add that to the errata sheet. But I'll more likely forget it in 10 minutes. So. Okay, we got 15 minutes. Before I forget, I still need some dimensioning done. Before I forget, I want to show you, start a good precedent. If I were to collect these things, I'd want your name, preferably on a layer named text, but that wasn't on the list of layers to create. Maybe I'll do that for the next time. But I want you to put text down at least what you're going to save the drawing file as. And well, for a precedent, let's all use our first name, space, WK, and the number of the week. I guess that's enough, but earlier I said continue with the file extension for good measure. So let's call that minimum, maybe optional, exercise 90, and what is today? 15 September for overkill. Save your file. Yeah, let me collect these. Hope I didn't break your heart. Let me collect these just to get us in the practice of submitting exercises. Last class, I recall a couple of you somehow figured how to submit your DWG file via the classroom. I haven't tried that myself, so I really don't know how you do it. Most of you simply emailed it to my Yahoo address. I think I'm going to have to start checking my Gmail address. Little reminder, my Yahoo address is P_Burgener. And my Gmail address is P_Burgener, because Gmail wouldn't let me use an underscore. Why? I don't know. But, you know, at least send it to my Yahoo. Send it to both for good measure if you want. And turning this in today, no matter how much you've got, I don't believe I can ping you. You know, again, I trust you to decide whether you can continue on. Let me move this grip out to the end, because you really want a blank space here off the object. Wonder if I got any more of those. Here's where we remember Dan and I got the, whoa, what happened? Interesting. I don't know how that little red thing got there. There's some discussion on how, if a gap should be between an extension line and a center line. And I believe there should not be a gap. So the workaround is to grip edit it slightly inward from the end of the line. Move this down so there's a little bit more of a gap right here. How did I lose? Okay. I lost the plus sign here because the dim style puts a center mark. Magenta is so close to red, it's going to print out without a plus sign there. So note to self, fix the dim style to suppress the center mark. Where's that? Yeah, symbols and arrows, none. I want none of the diameter or radii dimension. Put a little plus sign in the middle. I'll move the full section view a hair to the left, since it'll minimize consumption of paper. Got a couple angle dimensions I need yet. Rats. All right, I'll pick different. There we go. Try to match the handout and then grip edit to match the handout even better. Anybody got any question? Just need time? How you doing? Still got radii and diameters. Missing that little 1 unit redundant dimension there. Till I decide whether to add it to the errata sheet. Pick the endpoints in the wrong order, not a problem. I'll just fix it with grip editing. What am I missing? I think I'm going to change the. All right, how do I change the text type? I want to reduce the font size for these overkill lines. Blew out of that and say 3, enter. There we go. And again, this is overkill. Don't bother following me. Maybe I'm just getting cocky and showing off, but I'm going to change it to middle center and alter the line spacing factor to 0.85, enter. Okay, that hangs a hair to the right, requiring a hair more paper. So I will move it over so it does not. A little bit tight there, so I'll grip edit and slide this 30 dimension a hair over, making sure that this white space is still longer than this white space. Top and front view are a hair close, so move everything on the top of the drawing a hair up.
I have a quick question for you, Paul.
Yes, Damien.
What is the text style of the dimensions?
Standard.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. I kind of gave you a break on that, but the handout, the only requirement on the handout was, well, how to put this? There was no mention of a text style, so just the dim style is identical to the standard dim style, which uses the standard text style. I don't think we're going to get into text styles again. You know, I'd like you to use text, but don't believe I've ever had a handout requirement for an alternate text style other than standard. I'll have to check. I don't think it's in the birdhouse requirement.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
It's
Hi,
Alex. Alex
Thank
Brown.
you. Thank you.
I got 2 of them up because apparently my laptop must be super old. I haven't used it, so I had to bring up my iPhone plus my computer. So I'm watching on my computer and my iPhone. So, but
Okay.
my question is, my AutoCAD hasn't been working today. Can I turn it in a little later, or because I can go into work and see if I can get it to work there?
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry that happened. I wish I had a short answer is yes. Yeah, email it to me later. And
I didn't want to interrupt you.
don't lose sleep if you don't get it 100% complete. By the way, Damien, you appear to me as iPhone parentheses guest.
Oh, I did. My bad.
Not a problem. I'll just made myself a note so I remember that iPhone is really Alexander. And by the way, was I calling you Alexandria in introductory class?
It's not like I heard it. I haven't heard it before. I
Okay,
got a lot of
don't-
emails. I got a lot of emails from was supposed to go to Alexandria Brown. So, and my name is Alexander Brown. So it's happened plenty of times.
You're used to it. Okay. All right. I don't know where the typo came from, but apologize for it. I'll remember Alexander. All right. I'm keeping you about 30 seconds overtime already. No, my computer says 6:44. Don't charge me time and a half yet. Anybody got any question on anything? Again, please save your .dwg and upload it through the classroom or email me. I prefer to use my P_Burgener at Yahoo, but I really need to start using my Gmail account. So sending to both would give us both practice. Make sure I get it. I just remembered I think I will change the scaling of this cross-hatching from 10 to say 12, since now that I compare it with the handout, I think the spacing is a bit small. All right, I'll email y'all when and where I get the recording saved. I forgot to check. I assume it's still recording and succeeded. So I'll email you where the recording is if you want to rewatch this show. And I think you've already got the handouts for next week, with the exception of the homework assignment. At the bottom of each week's handout, I got a list of potential exercises for homework. You know, usually I let y'all decide which of the choices. So eventually, anyway, I realize not all of you have the textbook yet, so I'll email the whichever exercises we do for homework next week in time. What else? I've got attendance taken. Double checking my pencil notes, making sure I covered everything I wanted to. I'll also put the recordings on YouTube and send you the link. But please accept my invitation to get into the classroom, and let's start using the classroom. Because without any notice, I may be ordered to use the classroom for everything. I'm going to try to minimize how much I email to your shipyard addresses. The less that goes there, the less of an issue it'll ever be. That's all I got. Anybody got any last minute comments, questions, concerns? Okay, let's call it a class. See you next week, folks. Shutting down.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Dan.